I am alone. I've never felt more alone or more scared before in my life. And they tell you in the academy, like, hey, no matter what, when it hits the fan, you're always going to have your partner. Your partner's going to be right next to you. And I didn't have that. My partner left me. And so I was more of like, I just went through like this horrible thing and I didn't even have any backup. I didn't have my partner next to me.
That's unforgivable.
For a long time, I was really angry because to me, if I had just had him there, maybe the circumstances could have been different. Maybe we could have tried less lethal, maybe just something. And I was so angry at my partner for a long time. And even after my shooting, to this day, my partner has never once texted me. After that day, I've never heard a single thing from him. It was never of, hey, like, how are you doing? Hey, how's it going? Nothing.
I'm Steve Murphy, DEA Special Agent retired and now host of the Game of Crimes podcast. If you've seen the Netflix series Narcos, then you know my story. I now bring you stories of heroism and bravery from our law enforcement and military heroes, and occasionally from the criminals that they faced. Welcome to Game of Crimes. Hey, gang. Welcome back to this week's edition of Game of Crimes with Murph in the Morning. I am so freaking excited to be here this week. Our guest, let me just get you started here. I'm going to start just a little bit different than what we usually do. So I want you to imagine you're a newer police officer. It's still early in your career, and suddenly you're forced to make a life or death decision out on the street in just a matter of seconds. That decision, that's going to put you in the center of a national controversy, a shooting investigation, and unbelievable public scrutiny. And you know what? Today's guest, she had to live through all that. It's heartbreaking and it's unbelievable. And the other cool thing is she has never told her full story to anybody until now. So we've got an exclusive, and you're the first ones to get to hear it. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Toni McBride, former LAPD officer, to the Game of Crimes. Toni, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. I'm a little nervous, but I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much for being so patient while I got my health sort of back in order. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, and I know that was a little bit of a dramatic opening. I don't usually get that dramatic, but your story is I mean, I've had a lot of folks on here and military and law enforcement that have been in shootings, but yours is a little different. And it's not so much the shooting that's different. It's the aftermath of what happened and the ridiculousness of this whole thing. Our regular audience here knows that I'm pro law enforcement, cop for 38 years. I still bleed blue and I will until the day I die. And this show is all about bringing on the heroes to show you the commitment, the bravery, the perseverance, and the sacrifice that they make to protect you and me. I did it for a long time, but now I'm one of you. I rely on our police officers. So I'm really excited. If you can't tell, I'm kind of giddy right now. I had goosebumps when I introduced her. We usually do the small town police blotter on here, but we have got so much to talk about today and tomorrow. I'm just afraid that we're not going to get through everything. I told Toni, we were talking earlier today, and I said, I usually have 1.5 pages to 2 pages of notes. I've got 4 pages of notes this time. So,
that makes me nervous.
Not at all. Not at all. This is going to be fun. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to talk about some real serious stuff here. But anyway, that's why we're not going to do the small town police blotter. And just quickly, I always like to tell our guests how we met. Toni and I met back when Morgan and I first started the podcast. It was right after COVID. You guys know I'm with the Southern California Gang Conference. I'm actually an honorary member of their board of directors now. It only took me 100 years to get there, but they finally felt sorry for her. They're like, who is this old fart keeps coming back? Let's give him a title. And, it's just like my wife. I call her Chief of Domestic Operations and puffs up her chest,
Aww.
So that's where we met out there, but also met her dad, Jamie McBride. You folks remember Jamie. He's been on here twice, episode 162 in September 24, and then again last year in episode 211. And we even had Toni's uncle, Eric McBride, on here. He was episode 116, which was September of 23. So I'm slowly working my way through the McBride family here. Here's number 3. So Toni, enough silliness here. If you would tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, a little bit about your parents, your family dynamics. Did you play sports in high school, that kind of thing?
Okay. So Gosh, so I grew up in Southern California, kind of near LA, but my favorite beach, it's not LA, it's not Santa Monica, it's Ventura. That's where all of my family is, all of my extended family. That's where my parents met. So I love Ventura. That's where I grew up. I miss it a lot. I graduated high school in 2015, and I actually played basketball up until I think my senior year I stopped playing, but I played basketball. I was a starter, believe it or not. If you see me running now, you would not think that I'm an athlete because my husband tells me, he's like, honey, do not run in public. You look weird. It looks uncomfortable. And I have to agree with him. Well, thanks for telling me straight up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to be a little bit of an athlete. If my husband heard me say that now, he'd be laughing. Cause I'm definitely not now. So in high school, my dad loves telling this story, but I grew up with some pretty strict parents. And I love that. Honestly, I have two amazing parents, my mom and my dad. And they're actually celebrating, gosh, I think it's 30. No, actually, they just celebrated, I think like they're 40 years they've been together.
Good for them.
Oh my gosh, my parents are the coolest people ever. So I grew up with really strict parents. And when I was nearing my senior year, my dad looks at me and he goes, so what are you going to do with your life? You can't just be a bum. What kind of career path? And I was, I don't know, maybe I'll be a paramedic or join the Red Cross or something to where I want to help people. And my dad looked at me and he goes, that's not a career. You're not doing that. And I was okay. Cause my sister, who's older than me, I'm going to be a nurse and I hate school. I'm not doing that. So of course I was, I guess I'll be a cop. And when I was younger, I always thought my dad had the coolest job in the world. I was that kid that would brag about my dad and I'd be like, oh, my dad is a police officer. Oh yeah, he works undercover. I think, and I loved all of his partners growing up. I remember just in elementary school, my dad, he doesn't look like the other parents. He, was bald, had a goatee, sleeve tattoos, in Dickies. He wore Vans. My dad looked like he worked undercover. And of course, all of his partners looked like that too. So no matter what, my dad made every single award assembly, no matter what. I don't care if he was working undercover, he was always there and he would always have his unit with him. So they'd be at the back of the cafeteria during the assembly and you could just hear them when they would call my name. They'd be the loudest people. And then he would only stay for my award. And then he would come up to me and these big, scary dudes. And he'd be like, all right, give me a hug and some knuckles. He's like, all right, I'm proud of you. Anticipation or something. Something so lame as a kid. But he was always there. And I'd be like, all right, thanks. Cool. And then I remember one time, he was working with another partner and I was having a basketball practice. And I remember this taxi pulls into, so random, right? Because you don't really see that in a small town. The taxi pulls in from my basketball practice. And I remember standing next to my coach and I go, who the heck has a taxi? And sure as it's my dad in his phone. And I was, Dad? And he goes, hey, Toes. He calls me Toes. He's like, come on in. And I was like, why do you have a taxi? He's like, oh, we're just working undercover. And this is the car we're using tonight. And I'm like, okay, where did Mom go? And she just couldn't pick you up, but I got you. Come on in. And I'm okay, that works out. And it was so funny. So that was kind of my childhood. But with that being said too, something that really shaped me as a kid that I've never told anybody was that with my dad working undercover, we had, I don't know how to say this, but we had to be really prepared for it if something bad were to happen. Mm-hmm. So there was this one time where my dad was working undercover as a white supremacist. And unfortunately, he was either followed home and he wasn't paying attention or somehow our address, they figured it out. So I come home one day from school and I was in elementary school. And I remember having a deputy inside of our house holding up a photo of this skinhead, scary, right? As a kid, you're like, what the heck? And I remember him asking me, have you seen this person before in front of your house? And I remember saying, no, I don't think I have. And he goes, okay, well, this person is a very bad person and he wants to hurt your family. And he was here. So we had to have 2 panic buttons in our house, one in the kitchen, one in my parents' bedroom. And we had to have a deputy in front of our house for a little bit. And I remember feeling so scared and just terrified, thinking, okay, no, my dad's job is very serious, but it was something that most kids, I would think, didn't have to go through, but it definitely shaped me for the rest of my life. And that kind of teed up for me being a police officer, because I never wanted to feel that vulnerable and that scared before in my life. And having that experience, I can really empathize with other victims, and knowing what they feel is just being scared in that moment, depending on whatever situation. So, but growing up, I never saw my dad have a female partner. It was always male partners. So I just didn't really think that women could be police officers. It wasn't until my high school that I actually talked to another woman in the department who I love her so much. Her name is Chris Kenny. I love her. She's a badass woman. I remember, hey, I think I can talk to you. I just want to know what it's like being a female in the police department, this and this. And she was really honest with me. She's, it's the best job in the world. You're going to meet some people that don't think women should be police officers, that we are just scared and that we can't do the job, but you'll figure it out. And eventually I was like, all right, yeah, this is like, I want to do it. It was something I've always wanted to do deep down, but I just never thought I could. And when I turned 18, I took the exam for let me think. Sorry, I'm getting a little nervous. Oh no.
Don't get nervous.
So when I turned 18, I became the first youngest female in LAPD history to complete the Level 2 Reserve Academy. And then I was also class leader for Level 3 and Level 2. And fun fact, I actually got top shot, which people think that I grew up shooting. I did not. My dad doesn't even like guns. I have more guns than him, and
Wow.
I train more than him. So people thought, she just got top shot because she grew up shooting because of the whole Terran tactical thing later on. No, I learned everything from the police academy, which was amazing.
Wow.
So I actually, I did that when I was 18. And then when I turned 20 and a half, I applied for the full-time LAPD Academy. And I was once again chosen to be class leader. Have no idea why. That was way more stress on me. I remember the day before, my dad was, hey, keep your head down. Don't cause any type of awareness to yourself. And I was, oh yeah, trust me. I don't want any attention. And of course, on the first day, the DIs, they were hounding us. You know, the black line where you're just taking the heat. And my dad always told me, it's just a mind game. Don't let it get to you. The worst they're going to do to you is just yell at you. And I grew up with a dad with a very loud voice. So I'm used to that, being yelled at. So they had no effect on me. So I guess to them, they're like, oh, we can't scare her. You're going to be the class leader. So I come home later that day and my dad's all excited. He's like, hey, how did it go? How's your first day of the academy? And I go, well, I'm class leader. And my dad starts laughing. He goes, what? And I'm, yeah, didn't ask for it. I just wanted to focus on myself. I needed to zero in. And then they add on the stress of being class leader. And I'm very fortunate. Thank you. It's a huge honor. Don't get me wrong. But I just wanted to focus on myself.
Just in these few minutes we've been talking, I'm sure the listeners have figured out why you got class leader. You need somebody that's not afraid to take charge, that has leadership skills.
Right. And actually growing up, my parents, oh my gosh, my parents would always tell my sister and I, you're a leader, not a follower. Always lead from the front. And so I was always, okay. So of course, anytime somebody in class would be like, oh, does somebody have an example? Or, oh, can someone blah, blah. I'm looking around, no one's raising their hand. So why does it have to be me? So in the full-time academy, I actually got top shot again. Again, no prior training. It's just LAPD. And I always tell everybody too, I suck at everything. You don't ever put me in a science class, a math class. I am terrible at school. But for some reason, I'm pretty decent at shooting. I don't ever like to say I'm the best at shooting. No, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to grow. So I always say I'm a decent shot. I put stuff on paper.
Wait, let me interrupt you here. I just saw a video a couple days ago of you out on the range shooting. There were 6 pepper poppers up in a row. Do you remember how long it took you to knock those down?
Yeah, probably a second.
2.47 seconds.
Oh, yeah. See?
You called it out. 6 targets, ladies and gentlemen, 1 round per pepper popper. Those are the steel plates that you hit so that when you hit them, you either hear it or it knocks them down over backwards. 6 rounds dead on and less than 2.5 seconds. You think she's a good shot? She's a damn good shot.
Nah, I just suck at everything else, guys. I just, I gotta find something I'm good at. I gotta bring something to the table. So.
Well, let me tell you, Toni, I shot competition for years, not IPSC or anything like yours. It was the old PPC, which is more marksmanship. I was never as good as you are. And I was pretty good.
Well, it's funny about that. So when I first met Taryn, I'll skip ahead. He was, do you want to be a part of this? And I go, well, I just found out my boyfriend was cheating on me. So I got a whole lot of time on my hands. So yeah, I'd love to join.
That almost sounds like you're planning on revenge.
Oh my gosh. I would just need an outlet. I need something to fill my time. And it was just so much fun. I always tell a lot of women, hey, don't be scared of guns. I've been there before. Again, zero experience in the academy, and you're shooting for your job. If you don't pass any of these qualifications, you're out, sister. Goodbye. So I had to tell myself as I'm pressing the trigger, okay, the gun's not going to hurt me. The gun's not, bang. Oh, look, I'm fine. And then I just got really comfortable with it. So I always tell females, go out there, train. Trust me, I've been in your shoes, and it's going to be way more fun if you know how to shoot. So that's a little bit about myself, I guess. That was kind of a long-winded of my background.
That's all right.
What else did I do? I did probation at Rampart. Love Rampart Division. That is just probably my favorite division I've ever worked. The people that I've worked with, it's truly a family. I love Rampart. And then I went to Newton Division, where I got into my officer-involved shooting.
Shooting Newton.
Yep. And then what else do I do? I train and I teach at Terran Tactical Innovations. I do some modeling for Dillon Precision. So if you guys reload, I do some modeling. You might have seen me in a couple of their calendars. What else? I just became a mom. So we're celebrating his thank you. We're actually celebrating his first birthday in 2 weeks, which is crazy. But his name is Henry James, and he's perfect. We weren't even really supposed to have kids. So it is such a blessing. He's so amazing. He's smiling, happy. No stranger danger in that kid. He's waving at everybody. He's definitely got my personality.
Oh, yeah. Nothing bashful about him. I want to ask you, just when you were going through the academy, well, the question was going to be, were you treated differently because you were a female? But if you were chosen to be class leader, I'm going to guess the answer is no.
I would say, to be honest, I got treated differently from my classmates. You could tell that some of the people, even the other females, did not like me whatsoever. I think I only talked to maybe 2 other classmates to this day, maybe. And that's it. Now given when, let me clarify this. So when you were when I was class leader for the Reserve Academy, there was 5 or 6 people. And so it was super easy. It was a squad, basically. So when they had put me as class leader, I didn't truly understand what the responsibilities of a class leader of a full academy of class, which is 50 people. So I still had the mindset of technically a squad leader. So it was really difficult for me to navigate that. But I did not enjoy the academy. And the only thing, and the reason why is because of the classmates. A lot of people were there. For me personally, I was there because I truly wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people. I was driven by that. And for me, growing up with an LAPD family, I knew what it meant to be an LAPD officer. And a lot of the classmates were there for a paycheck. I'll say it. I have nothing to hold back anymore. I'm going to just put it out there. I don't care. No, not all of the classmates were like that, but to be honest, a lot of them were just there for a paycheck. And it was really hard for me to kind of connect to a lot of them. But again, I don't want to blanket on all of them. Some of them were there for the right reasons.
Right. When you, from the shooting, I thought maybe you were a competitive shooter before you went to the academy, but you explained you weren't. But I'm just curious, do you see any difference in the competitive shooting that you do now versus how you were trained in the academy? Or do you think it's similar?
So there's 2 different types of shooting that I always tell people. There's competitive shooting and then there's tactical shooting. And they have some crossovers, like how to shoot. Sometimes the movement can be very similar. The fundamentals of shooting is still the same. But when you're doing competition shooting, you're not going to be clearing corners. You're not going to be looking for someone who's going to be potentially shooting back at you. And so it's funny, I'll post a video of me doing competition style shooting, and they're like, whoa, like, where's your tactics? You just blew past that cover. And I'm like, oh my goodness, it is not the same. When you're doing a tactical aspect, it's more smooth. It's much slower. It's life or death. And people just don't understand that. When it's competition, okay, I'm going to do this as fast as possible. I'm going to just try to hit all the targets, blah, blah, blah. Tactical is so different. And so I just laugh.
Well, competitive is fun shooting is the way I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if it's an IPSC course, although I haven't shot IPSC in a long time, and you had to use cover during certain phases of those competitions.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. I love shooting. I don't shoot nearly as much as I used to. In fact, I hate to admit this, I've been retired. I was retired before you joined the police department, believe it or not, with 38 years experience.
That's amazing, though. That's an amazing career.
Well, since 13, I bet I've shot 4 times. And here we are 13 years later.
Oh, we got to change that. We have to change that. Come on.
I'm a guy that carried a gun everywhere.
Same.
When you came out of the academy, you said you went to Rampart. Did you have any decision? Did you have any input on where you got to go?
So in the academy, you can make a wish list, and it's basically your top 3, and then they can decide from there. And then some people, I think I had maybe 1 or 2 classmates that they got sent somewhere that wasn't even on their list or even on their radar. They're like, where's Harbor? And I'm like, whoa, they sent you far, brother. But mostly you would get your top 3 picks. So for me, I chose Rampart, Newton, and 77th Division.
Nice. And when you first got out there, any surprises? Did you think, wow, I'm really into it now?
Right. Gosh, I remember, I was just thinking about this the other day. I remember my very first day there. You get the jitters because you're excited. You have no idea what to expect. You always hear people talk about their experience of being a patrol officer, but truly you have no idea what's going to happen. And I remember going code. This is terrible. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this story. This is so bad. So we're going code 3, and I think it was somebody had committed a suicide, I believe. And so I think that was the comments of the call. So we're going code 3. I'm getting sweaty. I'm like, oh, okay, it's going to be my first dead body. I got this. I've watched a lot of CSI. I can do this. So, my TO, which he wasn't really a nice guy, but anyways, so we're running up 3 flights of stairs, and the door's locked, and he's like, all right, kick it down. And I'm like, yeah, bam, I kick it. Didn't even budge. He looks at me, and I'm looking at him, and I'm thinking, well, that doesn't happen in the movies. Like, it just hits and it goes. So then he's like, hit it again. I'm like, yeah, bam, doesn't budge. And I'm embarrassed, and this is really stealing my thunder here. So then the fire department had shown up, and I'm sweating, right? They took their time coming up the stairs, like.
Of course, they're firemen.
Heart rate is normal for them right now. And I'm just, you guys want to try that door? I got your back. Like, and so they do that donkey kick, immediately opens, and I'm just, good choice. Good choice.
Everyone do it. Come on, Toni.
And so we make entry, and then of course we see the deceased, and we finished the radio call, but I'll never forget that. That humbled me. And now I'm over here doing more lunges, more squats, trying to build these legs up. But that was very humbling.
Yeah. Well, was there those in the early days, was there, and this might have been the event, but was there an event that made you think, wow, we're not in Kansas anymore, Toto? I mean, this is real life.
Well, on probation, no, I remember a lot, and I think that this is something that some new officers can really resonate with. I remember for a long time, probably the first, maybe the first 4 months, I was texting my dad saying, it's just not clicking. It's not clicking. I don't know what's going on, but I suck. I feel like I really suck at this. And he's like, don't worry, it's going to click. It's going to click. And I'm like, it's not clicking. And so I remember one day, it just clicked. You understand, okay, keep your head up. It's on a swivel. You're starting to understand how each report is going to be, the right interviewing questions. And you're then starting to not really rely on your partner or your TO to fill in those gaps. And so I remember I was, hey, it finally clicked. We're fine now. Don't worry, I freaked out. All good here. And my dad was, see, I told you. Why did you freak out? I told you. And I'm like, okay. But I think There wasn't really one specific thing where I was, oh, this is serious, except my shooting. We see so much on patrol, especially in downtown or South Central. You see a lot. Gunshot victims, stabbed victims, kidnappings, pursuits, and it's very eye-opening. If anything, something that I really took away with super fast and early on in my career is how blessed we are, because we go on radio calls where I will never forget this radio call. It was a welfare check, I believe. And even though I don't remember the exact radio call, I remember the details of it. And I was working Rampart Division. We go up into this really old, what was it called? An apartment complex. And there was cockroaches everywhere. There's holes in this floor. And it was very, very old. And then you see these two children just playing on the ground next to the cockroaches. And they're just in their diaper. They don't have clothes on. But they're not greatly disabled because it didn't meet their requirements. And for me, I was just, it was just so eye-opening. I'm so incredibly blessed to have a roof over my head. I have food in my pantry. I'm just so grateful for everything that I have. I even have a car. I know a lot of people have a car, but think about everybody who has to take the bus or Uber or whatever. And that's something that I took away immediately from being a police officer early on.
You and I were both blessed with parents that made sure we had food and clothing and blue-collar families, but I never went hungry.
Right, exactly. And my dad was actually relieved of duty, so we didn't have that LAPD income when I was in middle school or early high school, I believe it was. I think it was early high school. And no matter what, my dad always said, my sister and I, we never felt that hurt. My parents always made sure we had new clothes. We always had food, but my dad had to go find other work. So my parents are incredible. I love them so much.
Yeah, you're fortunate. Well, I'm blessed as well. What were your long-range plans did you plan to stay with LAPD or were you thinking other agencies? And did you want to go through promotions? Did you want to become a detective? What were your long-range plans with the police department?
I wanted to do everything on the department. Yeah, I might get emotional talking about it, so I'm sorry. Okay. I'm trying not to, but imagine having your ultimate dream in your life and you have it, and then it gets ripped away from you. I'm getting emotional right now. Sorry.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
I wanted to do everything. There wasn't just, sorry.
Trust me, I know you're here with a friend. I'm like your older uncle that you don't know all that well. And the listeners here are all supporters of law enforcement and military. That's why they come here to the Game of Crimes. So you're amongst friends here.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
If you keep crying, you're going to make me cry because the older I get, the more emotional I get.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like people would ask me, oh, did you want to take the detective route? Did you want to do SWAT? And I'm like, everything. I want to do everything. I want to do K9. I want to do Metro. I want to become a detective. I want to work plainclothes. I want to work gangs. Like ultimately, like, to be honest, I've always wanted to be in SIS, which is like the most coolest, most badass unit LAPD has. And I wanted to do it all, but I couldn't.
What is SIS?
They do some secret stuff. So basically, they go undercover, plainclothes unit, and anytime, let's say robbery, homicide, if they're like, hey, we have a suspect, but we can't really get them down on this, and we can't spend a lot of time on surveillance on them, they give it to SIS. And typically, SIS will get into a shooting in any of their stuff. Like they're so top secret, but they do such incredible work. They really get down to getting criminals, to making the community safer, making a difference. And they were plainclothes. You're undercover, which is the coolest thing ever to me. So I know, I'm such a nerd. I remember I took a Glock armor class and I did it on my own time. And I go and I sign in and then I look and of course they have the mugs and it says SIS, LAPD. And I'm just like, they're sitting next to me and I'm just,
I got to steal one of those.
And of course, they actually know my dad. So they're like, hi, Toni. And I was just like, you know me? And so I was just starstruck. And I don't get starstruck very often. So I was, oh my gosh. But I wanted to do everything. But there was a lot that happened in the department that prevented me from doing it, which was really, really unfortunate.
Well, and that's where I'd like to go next, because in every officer's career, there's events that are unforeseen, that change our initial plans. Nothing ever goes as planned. I'm going to guess that this officer-involved shooting we're getting ready to go into is the event for you.
Yep, you guessed right.
Yeah. So we're talking about April 20th, 2020, right?
April 22nd.
April 22nd. And can you just tell us how everything began and what it all led to?
Right. So I can do this. So again, what I'm about to talk about, I've never talked about publicly, and this is me finally speaking my truth for the first time. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about my shooting across the entire nation. It's actually gone worldwide, believe it or not, but I've never been able to talk about it. I was silenced, and it's been 6 years. We're coming up on 6 years, and I'm finally ready to tell everybody what happened. So with that being said,
I'm excited.
So I'm working Newton Division, Watch 2, which is day watch, and it's from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. During this time, I didn't have an assigned partner. So that's when we call them partners that are married up. It's when you work with them every single day. So I didn't have a partner that I married up. So every day you're going in, you don't really know who you're working with. And I got paired up with this officer. I'm not going to say his name. I'm not here to bash him or anything. I'm going to leave everything I say, I'll leave it up to you. And so I got assigned with him. I worked with him probably a month or two in advance, only one other time. So everything was going fine. Normal patrol day. It was getting towards end of watch. We probably had about an hour left of our shift. And over the radio, another unit had actually asked for another unit request. And so we answered up, okay, we're heading over there. We can help you. We're not doing anything. So a lot of people think that we actually got the radio call of the shooting. We didn't. We weren't supposed to be there. Nobody knows this. I wasn't supposed to be there, okay? Not at all. So this is the truth. This is what actually happened. So we're actually going to the additional unit request. And as we're driving, there's a bunch of traffic, dead stop. And I'm, oh, great, it's LA. You're thinking, okay, it's just traffic, whatever. So I tell my partner, because I'm in the passenger seat, I tell him, hey, bust a left. We're going to go around this traffic. So as we're turning left, I look down the sidewalk and I just see a four-door vehicle had been completely smashed into basically a two-door vehicle. And it was up against a pole. And that's all I could see. And I turned to my partner. I'm like, hey, wait. It's actually an accident. It's not just traffic. Turn around. Let's go help them. Well, during that time, it was being broadcast that there was somebody with a knife. I'm shaking. During this time, over the air, they were actually broadcasting that there was somebody with a knife who had caused the accident. But I didn't hear any of that because I'm just seeing this whole scene in front of me. So again, I'm walking into this not knowing at all what's happening. So what they don't show on the body camera is that you can actually hear me say, who's hurt? Show me who's hurt. Do you need help? Because this scene was completely chaotic. I mean, it felt like there was 100 people all over the sidewalk. And then there were, I think it was 4 vehicles that were completely smashed. Like these poor victims, I saw 2 of the victims, they were smashed so close up to their steering wheel because the suspect had smashed them so hard that they're bleeding out of their mouth. They couldn't self-evacuate, and it's touch and go. You're thinking that they're about to die. And now you have all these other people on the sidewalk having their phones out, and it was just chaotic. So my partner and I, we get up to the front, and there was a bunch of cars that had stopped. So we basically got all the way up there. My partner and I, we get out of the car. You actually see me toss my gum or my protein bar back in the car. Again, still nonchalant. I'm just another car accident. It's okay. Take another bite of my bar, throw it in, and then you see my kombucha down on the door. Like, I'm chilling at this point. I'm almost end of watch. Again, we weren't supposed to be there. We weren't assigned the radio call. So we get out, and that's when we realized that everything was really serious. There was a group of people that had just this almost white face, and their eyes are wide open, and they're all pointing at the suspect's vehicle, which is a black truck. And it was smashed to another parked RV. And so we're seeing all these victims everywhere. These people are just, hey, that's the guy. He tried to kill everybody. He's the one that has a knife. He's trying to kill everybody. He's the one that caused the accident. And so I'm, okay, got it. And the only thing you hear me say is, hey, partner, put out a backup. So my partner puts it out, and then that's the last I've ever heard from him. I didn't know where my partner was. My partner left me, and nobody knows this. I was never able to talk about this. So my partner straight up beelined it. Apparently, after the fact, after all this is said and done, I asked him, what happened? Where were you? We were just told that the suspect is in the vehicle. He's trying to kill everybody. Why did you leave me? And he goes, well, I took a split second. I looked and I didn't see the suspect in the car. So I just went to go give aid to the people that were trapped in their vehicle. And you didn't tell me that you left? So when you watch the video, I am actually talking out loud, thinking like, and you can actually tell if you look in the window of the car that I'm using as cover, you can actually see me going like this. Because I'm looking for my partner. Hey, partner, do we have less lethal? And I'm knowing we, of course, do have less lethal, but that's my hint of, hey, you're going to be less lethal. I'll be lethal, trying to establish a plan. He's not there. And so the whole time I'm looking for my partner. And if you actually look in the body cam video, I'm sorry, I'm talking super fast. I get nervous and I talk fast.
That's okay.
So if you actually look in the video, you can see him on the sidewalk by, I believe it's a white vehicle. And as I'm doing my shooting, he's just staring and looking at me. He's just kind of like, and then he realizes what's happening. And then he puts out the backup, or the officer needs help call. And then he comes back behind me. But anyways, so we get out.
Oh my gosh.
So my partner leaves me. And at this time, keep in mind, I only have about 2 years and maybe like 4 months on the job. I think that's what it broke down to. And then obviously that first year, you're just on probation. So it wasn't a whole lot of time of knowing exactly like what to do in a sense. Because people always say it takes about 5 years for a police officer to truly know the ins and outs of the job. So I only had 2 years and some change on. So giving out commands, and I'm right, put out a backup. Partner, gone. And then I see this vehicle to my right, and there was a witness in there, if you want to say, or a bystander. So I'm already thinking in my head, okay, if the suspect is coming out, I need to use something as cover. I'm going to use this car. So I look, and she's in there. Well, I want to make sure she's safe. So you can hear me grab the door, and I'm like, hey, you need to get out. You need to go, go, go. And so I step in front of her, and she runs out to the sidewalk, and you just hear me saying, go, 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 go. And then I'm trying to talk out loud. Anybody who's worked with me knows that I communicate very well. I am talking the whole time because I want to make sure everybody's on the same page so that nobody gets hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe you hear me say something like, hey, partner, I think he's about to run. He's getting out of the car. Like he's going to run. So the suspect climbs out of the vehicle that he was in, goes around his car, and then beelines it towards me. He has no shirt on. You can clearly tell he's high off of drugs. He's puffing out his chest, and he has a knife in his hand. And so for me, I'm okay. I can't completely retreat because if I do, then there's other victims around that he's going to go up and stab. We've already been told that there's people that went up to him. He's got a knife. He wants to kill people. Look at the accident. He wants to kill people. It's not just himself that he's trying to injure or whatever. So I retreat just slightly back to where I'm using the quarter panel of the witness's vehicle, and I'm giving all my commands verbally and physically. Side note, I yelled out queso because somebody next to me was speaking Espanol, and I was, maybe he speaks Spanish. I'm telling everybody, queso me huevo, which I think it means move or get out of the way. I don't know. So in the comments on YouTube from the department, people were laughing, saying, she yelled out queso right before smoking a dude. And I was...
That's not funny, but it is funny.
Oh, it's hilarious. So I'm yelling out queso me huevo, and everyone's just laughing. And I'm like, well, whatever. I'm trying to be bilingual here, trying to connect with the community. That did not work out because clearly the story ended differently. So then...
Well, let me ask you a question. You say he's beelining to you. Is he running at you?
So he was walking, I wouldn't say he was walking slowly, but instead of running where most suspects, if they see the police, they're running the other way. They don't want to be caught. But instead of running, he just saw me and beelined it, which means he took direct steps towards me, and he did not make any movement to run away, to surrender, nothing in that sort. And again, the video that the department had released, they did not mention that I told them, and there was witnesses at the scene who can actually can agree with me on this. They heard this. When I told the suspect, hey, stop right there, drop the knife. The suspect told me, I'm not going to drop this knife. And he puffs out his chest. And there's other witnesses there that day that told the interviewers, yeah, no, I heard him. He told her, I'm not going to drop this knife. Puffed out his chest, kept closing the distance on me. So for me, in this moment, that's when I was like, I think I'm going to have to shoot this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, a lot of people say when it hits the fan, you don't really know what you're going to do. And that's true. But for me, I went back to my training. So believe it or not, in that moment, I went back to thinking of when I was in the academy, when I was 18 years old, not the full-time academy, but I thought of this moment, and it was when my instructor, big black dude, I love him to death, and he was walking down the aisle of the classroom, and he goes, I cannot draw that line for you. If you need to shoot somebody, you have to draw a line in the sand, and I cannot draw that line for you. You need to figure it out. And so right then and there, I remembered it, and I was, okay, I was like, draw a line, draw a line. If he passes this line and if he's still closing the distance, you know what to do. So in the video, you see me give out more commands. I redeploy to the rear quarter panel of the witness's vehicle. He's still closing the distance. He passed this imaginary line that I had created. And that's when you see me immediately snap up and take my first 2 shots. And I remember, okay, come back down to a low ready so that I can assess the situation. That's what we're trained to do. And unfortunately, the suspect, drugs are really crazy on somebody. They truly are. I know a lot of people are like, oh yeah, drugs are crazy. It makes you. This man was not even human. It was like something else had taken over him, because like I have a hard time talking about this part, but I've never met this man before in my life, but I know that wasn't him, because these drugs that he took, it's scary. It's really, really terrifying. And so when he was shot twice, he fell to the ground, and you can feel the anger and the hate that he had just radiating off of his body. It was something I've never felt before in my life. And he hits the ground, he gets his fist and he just slams it on the ground, almost as if he was, how dare you think that's going to stop me? And he jumps back up trying to charge me again. And that's when I took another 2 shots. It was like not really affecting him every time that I had shot him. And the 5th and 6th time, he was then, to me, and again, this shooting is only happening in a matter of seconds.
Mm-hmm.
People think that, oh, when you're watching this in the comfort of your own home, that I would have reacted differently. No, you only have a matter of a few seconds, and people don't understand that. And you have so many bystanders that could potentially be killed, that there's so much going on. And I always laugh at when people with zero training whatsoever with law enforcement, that they can give their 2 cents. And I'm like, okay, first of all, you can't just shoot a weapon out of somebody's hand. I'm sorry that the movies make it seem that way. Thank you for thinking that I can do that. Thank you. You think I'm that cool? No. So after that, I took another 2 shots, 6 shots in total. And I'm going to say, thankfully, all 6 shots had hit the target, only because there were so many people and there was terrible background. I had people in the background that I'm glad I didn't hit a bystander. But I have to really say, because I trained so much, that I was very confident with my shooting, and that I knew no matter what, I was going to hit my target. So the last 2 shots, the suspect had stopped with his violent actions, whatever you want to call it. And then finally, I hear these, and again, this whole time, I am alone. I've never felt more alone or more scared before in my life. And they tell you in the academy, hey, no matter what, when it hits the fan, you're always going to have your partner. Your partner's going to be right next to you. And I didn't have that. My partner left me. And so I was more of, I just went through this horrible thing, and I didn't even have any backup. I didn't have my partner next to me.
That's unforgivable.
For a long time, I was really angry, because to me, if I had just had him there, maybe the circumstances could have been different. Maybe, we could have tried less lethal, maybe just something. And I was so angry at my partner for a long time. And even after my shooting, to this day, my partner has never once texted me. After that day,
gosh.
I've never heard a single thing from him. It was never of, hey, like, how are you doing? Hey, how's it going? Nothing.
That's because he knows that he acted like a coward that day.
Yeah.
You don't leave your partner.
I don't know. I just, for him to leave and say, oh, I was giving aid to somebody. It's no, you're always trained. I don't care what department you're with or whoever whatever. You are always trained that if there's a threat in front of you, you have to assess the threat first. You do not give aid. If there's an active shooter and you're going to a building and a victim is like, help me, I'm sorry, but we have to go and assess the threat first. Or else they're going to keep giving destruction everywhere.
How close was this guy to you when you fired your first shot? Do you remember?
So, again, I'm bad at numbers, but he truly felt really close to me. I think in my interview, I said he was, I don't know, maybe like 18 feet. It turns out he was actually 37 feet. But for me and how everything was played, I thought he was much, much closer to me. But still, they have, I believe it's called the Tiller rule, which is the 21-foot rule of a sharp-edged weapon against a police officer and how they can close that time in a matter of seconds. And then they're on top of you, stabbing you.
That was my next question there. I'm sure they did a toxicology report during the autopsy. Did they find out what drugs were in his system?
Meth. Don't do meth, kids.
That's the number one rule in Game of Crimes. Do not do meth, kids. This is why. It's a perfect example.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It was insane. And so after the last shot, my partner, still have no idea where he's at, but I actually had another unit that heard our help call originally before the shooting had happened. They were driving down, and I guess I talked to them later on. They said that they actually heard my shots as they're getting out of the vehicle. And as soon as I'm at a low ready position, I just hear, and I get emotional when I say this, but
that's all right.
Sorry, I'm going to try not to cry.
There's no better feeling than when help gets there.
Yeah.
When you're in a dire situation, especially life or death, even hearing the sirens just gives you that help's on the way.
Yeah, it truly is. And so I remember hearing her, and it was a female unit. They're running. And I remember one of them saying, I got you. And I just had this wave of relief. Okay, I'm not alone. And she goes, I got you. Okay. And I was, put it out, because in the video, you can actually see me reaching for my rover, about to broadcast, hey, officer needs help, shots fired. But I just hear her yelling as she's coming up, I got you. And honestly, like, hearing her say that, that helped me so much later on in my career.
Right. It does.
And so if you look in the video, my freaking partner, so I had the two ladies, my two other partners, were on a scrimmage line. And where's my partner? Behind us. He came out of the woodworks and goes behind us. And so I had the female partner who came up to help us. The best, most beautiful broadcast I've ever heard in my life. I'm not joking you. If you guys want tips on how to broadcast, listen to her, okay? She was amazing. I need you to come in this direction only. We need 2 RAs for the suspect, a victim over here. Hey, we got another victim over here. I need 3 RAs. I need an inner perimeter. I need an outer perimeter. She did insane. And my whole job was to just focus down on the suspect. When she was done broadcasting, okay, next thing, we need to get a tactical plan to get him in handcuffs. Even a suspect is shot or not responding, you still have to put a suspect in handcuffs. That's just for everyone's safety. So I remember the airship had, again, when you put out a help call, everybody and their mother is coming to help you. So she had just put out that broadcast, and I go, okay, what do you guys want to do? How do you want to approach this? We see the knife in his hand, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then as she's telling me what to do, I remember looking up and I see the airship unit get so close to the ground and then come back up. And I remember just, they're here for me. And I was, because if you know me, you know I hate bothering people. I hate attention. I truly do. I don't want to bother anybody. And so I just remember hearing the helicopter and then looking up and they're like, whoop, 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 whoop. And I'm like, shh, they're here for me. And I was, okay, this is serious. And then of course, other sirens are coming. We're having more people help. We get the suspect into custody without any incident. And then I see my original partner. He's about to clear the suspect's vehicle. And you can hear me say, hey, partner, I'm going to help you clear that. We clear the vehicle. Everything's good to go. And that's when everything starts to hit. That's when I start coming down from I'm processing everything. Because in this moment, you have to just be zero in. You can't think of feelings. And I'm very good. I've had other partners say this too. I'm very good at assessing a situation and being able to react and think ahead. So I think that's what really saved me from my shooting. I mean, of course, with my training and experience, but just being able to think ahead, that really helped me a lot. So This is really sad. So I come around the corner and I had a sergeant come in and they were like, all right, you good? Give me your body camera. Give me this and that. When you're involved in an officer involved shooting, you can't talk to anybody. You can't talk to your mother. You can't talk to anybody. Not your partner. Nobody. They separate you. And you're assigned a sergeant until you're interviewed. So the rest of the day, whatever. So I give him everything I have. And he's, okay, so this sergeant over here, he's going to be with you. He's going to escort you back to the station for you'd be interviewed. I got interviewed like 9 hours later. It was terrible. And I'm just in this station, like, what's going to happen? I'm waiting for my attorney to show up. So anyways, the sergeant comes with me. And I'm so sorry, guys. I really don't mean to be emotional. I'm sorry.
That's okay. If you want to think about that just for a second, I want to back up. What was the reaction of the crowd at the shooting site?
So I heard people screaming. Because of the shots, I heard people screaming for help too, because they were next to people who were potentially about to die. You can tell it was touch and go. I remember watching another video and some bystander was, oh my gosh, she shot him. She shouldn't have done that. And then another bystander in the same video goes, no, he had a knife. And then that person goes, oh yeah, he had it coming then.
Oh, jeez.
So you're kind of like, what the heck? So I know, I don't know how to say this, but I know that they were all really thankful I was there that day and that I could help. And the only reason why I can say that is because when that sergeant was walking me out of the inner perimeter and we're trying to walk to the outer perimeter, we're walking in the middle of the street and this woman on the sidewalk was following us. And then once we got away from the chaotic crowd, you would say, or the shooting, she beelines it, comes up to me and my sergeant, and I've never told anybody this. And she goes, Are you okay? Are you hurt at all? And I remember I'm still processing everything. So I'm just kind of straight faced. And I remember looking up at my sergeant and he looks at me, it's okay, you can respond. And I remember I slowly drop my head and I'm looking down at my whole body, my uniform, trying to see if there's any injuries. And I just shake my head very slowly because she asked me, did you get hurt? Are you okay? And I didn't say a single word because I know we're not supposed to talk to anybody. And I just shake my head. And then she reaches out her arm and she touches me and she goes, thank you for saving me. Sorry, guys. So that ended up being the woman from the vehicle that I had pulled.
Wow. It doesn't get any better than that.
For her to like make it a point to follow me out and make sure if I was okay. And then for her to stick her arm out and touch me and go, thank you for saving me. I just remember I couldn't say anything. And so all I did was I slowly nodded my head. And then the sergeant was like, ma'am, thank you so much for coming out here. Like, please don't go anywhere. We really need to get your statement so you can be interviewed. And she goes, yeah, absolutely. And then I was escorted out. But I don't know who that woman was. I don't know her name or anything, but she has no idea the impact that had on me. Like after the shooting happened, and we'll dive into the protests that were in my name, my home address being released. I had so many breaking moments where I was, is this even worth it? Is this worth my insanity? This is so hard on me. And she has no idea what she did for me. It pushed me through. It carried me through to still be a police officer.
My intent here is not to ditz on California, but I mean, the folks in California have a terrible reputation throughout the rest of the United States, not the cops. I don't understand why anybody want to be a cop out there. And I've got tons of friends that are cops, and I have the ultimate respect for all of you. But for people to sit back and second guess everything that you do when they're not there, first of all, they've probably never faced a life or death situation in their entire lives. They've probably never even been in a fist fight, even when they were in school. But yet they want to pass judgment on everybody else without going through any of the training, without going any of the practice scenarios. So you see what it's really like to, not so much that you get shot at, but you get punched. We put boxing gloves on and we hit each other so that when you get hit on the street, one punch doesn't take you down. You can still fight.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, those kind of people just tick me off to the nth degree.
Right. Well, I mean, you might find this funny. So after my shooting happened, my identity was released because they have to, of course, make a statement from the department. And I grew up in a very small town. And I was the only person in my town, my graduating class, we'll say, that became a police officer. and has any experience in law enforcement. So then when my name came out, I had almost every single person I went to school with. I'm talking elementary school, high school, and these people I grew up with, they know my family. They've come over to my house for play dates, for crying out loud. They were all saying, wow, I can't believe she murdered somebody. And this is all during BLM, guys. This is when the height of BLM, the anti-police, the protests. Of course, I had to have a freaking shooting. And this is when all the liberals, I'm going to say it, I don't care anymore. The liberals were going crazy. And so all the people that I went to school with, they created a petition to put me in jail. And every single person that I knew personally that I went to school with was, hey, you all need to sign this. She's a murderer. I went to school with her. I know her family. I can't believe that they're all murderers. Every single person that I knew, I was reading the comments, and people that I went to school with, that I grew up with, that I played softball with, basketball with, they were all like, sign her. She's a murderer. Let's throw her in jail. And it's a very, very small town that I grew up in. We're only 2 exits. And I remember feeling so much anxiety just doing my daily shopping, going to Trader Joe's, going to the local sushi spot, because these are people that I would see. But of course, nobody ever said anything to my face. There are online saying, let's put Toni McBride in jail. Like, I grew up with her. And of course, they're all sharing their like stories. And none of them were, oh, she's a terrible person. It was just more of like, wow, she was such a nice person in high school. She was so friendly. The police department really changes people. It just makes them racist. And I'm like, what? First of all, you have absolutely zero training in police. Second of all, you should see the training that we do in the police department, because if anything, do not talk to anybody that has a color or they look different than you. They're so sensitive towards anything racial, like extreme, and nobody understands that. They just think you put on the uniform and you're an instant racist, which does not make sense to me. It doesn't work that way. But it was so hard after my shooting, and that was just one of the many things that I had to deal with.
Oh, and I hope some of you folks are listening to this because you're idiots. You have no background whatsoever to pass judgment on anybody else without knowing the facts. I mean, we've seen that in some of the BLM riots that go on where nobody wants to know what the facts are. They just want to know that there was a police officer involved. Facts be damned. If the cops were involved, they had to be at fault. Mm-hmm. Well, when you dig down into those cases, you find out that's not the case at all. One particular case I'm thinking of is John Mattingly and the Breonna Taylor death in Louisville, Kentucky. And he'll be the first to tell you that Breonna Taylor should not have died that night. She died at the hands of a police officer because her boyfriend, her so-called boyfriend, who lied his ass off about everything that he told, fired around at the police officers and they responded. The fact that you're out there, Toni, in uniform is the only reason that guy came towards you. You represent authority. It doesn't matter male, female, black, white. It doesn't matter any of that. Didn't matter. It's the fact that you're wearing a uniform that represents authority, and he was going to take on authority.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree.
All you damn people out there that are bitching and complaining about the cops, put a uniform on and let's see how long you last out there.
Amen. Amen.
When you joined the police department, Toni, and this is a stupid question to ask, but when you joined, did you join because you wanted to go kill somebody?
No.
Why did you join?
I get emotional about this question too. Man, you're really hitting it for me today.
I'm sorry.
You're getting BOGO deals after BOGO, just crying after crying. But whenever somebody asks me, what does it mean to be a police officer and why did you join? I always say, I just don't have any words. I'm the person that people look to when they're broken and when they need help and they're terrified. And I want to be that person that saves them, because I remember back to when I was a kid, back when, we had to have the panic buttons in our house and when I felt terrified. And so for me, I want to be that person. I would pray every single shift. You have no idea. Every shift I would pray to God saying, Lord, please let me be that person that's going to help somebody. If someone's going to get hurt, let it be me. I can take it.
Yep. And you just answered the question there. I want to help people. That's the reason 99.99% of people that become law enforcement professionals start the job. In 38 years, I know cops all around the world. I haven't met a single cop yet that said, I wanted to be a cop because I wanted to shoot somebody.
I've never met a cop. I've never met somebody say that. Or even if they don't say it, you're working with these people in the shop, which is what we call a car. And you're working with them for 12 hours a day. There's no type of indication at all. Every single person that I've ever worked with, they seriously just care about the community. And there's some officers that go above and beyond. But of course, nope, the news doesn't want to run that. And it's just, I get so angry because the people that were trying to put me in jail, trying to say I did the wrong thing that day, or saying that she's just doing, all this stuff because she wants clout or blah, 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 or trying to get me to lose my job. It makes me so angry because I'm the type of officer that you want on the job. I'm the type of officer that if your mom was in danger, you want me to respond. And I know damn well in my heart that I would have given up my life for any single one of those people. And for them to say, she needs to be fired, this and that. You are so stupid and blinded by hate. You have no idea, zero idea what we go through and what I'm willing to give up. And so it would make me so angry. And I'm like, this isn't just happening to me, but I know that there's several other officers out there who are going through the exact same thing or something very similar. And these are the cops that we want. How do they not see this?
Exactly. When they talk about racism and bigotry, you're the bigot. Not you, Toni, but the people that are making those snap decisions without knowing the facts. You're the bigot in the situation. You should be supporting law enforcement. Let me tell you, if somebody's breaking into your house, they're breaking into your car, they jack you at a stoplight, don't call the police because the uniform is going to show and you hate them. So don't ever call them for help.
I remember this one radio call. It's when I got transferred to Northeast Division and I was working patrol, and this woman, she had called because she had a stalker, I believe it was. So we go up to her apartment and she had signs that say it was called BLM and then defund the police. So for me, now I did it respectfully and professionally, but I saw these signs and she tried to kind of hide them away, but it was just in between a couch. So my partner's interviewing her and I'm like, oh, hell no. You want to call us now? So I pull out the signs and I just, boom. If you want to put these out here in public, why don't you just show them in your house then in front of the police when you actually need us? So I pull them out and I was, oh, wow. Okay. I didn't see these signs. I'm so sorry, ma'am. I hope this encounter is going well for you. I want you to know that you're safe, that we're here for you, that this and this. And is there anything else that we can do? Was my service okay? And I was like, well, thank you so much. I wish you the best of luck at your next protest.
I love it. I love it.
Oh my gosh.
We're not smart asses. We're not smart asses. I don't know.
No, I just did it very professionally though. And I made sure I see what you're doing. You're so stupid. You want to defund the police, but here you are calling the police. How'd that work out, sister?
Exactly. And let's see, if we go back and look at the 3 ladies that started that BLM movement, how many of them have been indicted? How many of them took the monies, the millions of dollars that were donated to them and bought their own personal houses, mansions?
Mansions, I was going to say mansions.
Cars, all the things that go along with it. It's just, do your research, folks. Just don't make a snap decision. You hear Murph tell you here on just about every show, and Javier and I have been traveling the world. This is our 11th year traveling the world, telling the Escobar story. And we tell every audience, don't believe what we're telling you. Go do your own research. Find out what the topic is. You can listen to the news, but take the time to do your own research, and then you make up your mind. We all have brains. God gave us all a brain. You're logical people. Just look at the facts, and then you decide what you should believe. That thing with the Breonna Taylor case, when you go back and look at the people that came out, the people that wanted the cops put in jail, that didn't know the facts, including a former vice president of the United States, including sports stars, including movie stars, all these, what I call pretty people. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. You know, John Mattingly is the only person that got shot in that incident other than Breonna Taylor. And an officer had to put a tourniquet on his leg to save his life. He's one of my closest friends. I just love the guy to death and what he represents. And I love the fact that they call him racist, because they don't realize that his son-in-law is a black man. People call me racist. They say I'm racist against black and brown people. Check out my background and find out where my daughters are from. Idiots. Don't make those remarks without getting the facts. It just makes you look as stupid as you really are.
I know, just really quick off of that. So the LA Times, they're so funny. I never take any interviews with them because all they write is bullshit. And I'm sorry if that's a cuss word, but it's all bullshit. So when they first wrote the article about me, they're like, white female police officer shot a Mexican or a Hispanic. And I'm like, excuse me, I am Espanol. My mother is Hispanic. Have you seen my grandpa, mijo? I'm like, damn, I really need to get out in the sun because maybe I just look super pale. And yeah, my dad's white, but the news has never seen a photo of my mother or the rest of my family. So they just assumed that maybe I was some blue-eyed blonde like my dad. And I'm like, no, I'm Hispanic. I'm
There you go.
But clearly I'm a racist for the last name of it, McBride.
Yeah. It's hilarious. I didn't know that. I love it.
See,
just a perfect example. That just reinforces what we just said here. I'm sorry, everybody, for going off on a tangent, but it just ticks me off when people come down to cops when they're just doing their jobs. Keep in mind, cops don't make the laws. It's in the title, law enforcement. They enforce the laws that those people that sit in the state houses in every state that sit in Washington, D.C., they're the lawmakers. You got a problem with the law? Call them. Don't take it out on the law enforcement officers.
Exactly.
Whew, well, I'm going to be going off on tangents for the rest of this interview, Toni. That's you're getting me fired up here, girl.
Sorry.
But, you're reading my minds for the questions because these 4 pages of questions, you're jumping ahead, everyone, and you're covering the topics, which I really appreciate. The next thing was, what was the part of the aftermath that civilians never see? And you just explained that all to us.
Oh, that's not even the half of it.
Exactly. And so what we're going to do, we've been going well over an hour now, ladies and gentlemen. Toni has agreed to continue the interview. So you're going to need to come back tomorrow. I need to go calm down just a little bit because, she's getting emotional and I'm getting pissed. So no. I love it because the fact that you are finally in a position to tell your side of the story, the other side, those people out there, they get to go to the media immediately because they go get these crappy defense attorneys that all they're about is making a name for themselves. They want to be in front of that camera. It happens time and time again. So the fact that we've got Toni on here, and this is her first opportunity to tell her story, I'm honored. I know if Morgan Wright was still with me as a co-host on here, you met Morgan at the Southern California Gang Conference when I met you. He would be proud of what you're doing, and I'm sure he will tell you that at some point. So let's go take a deep breath. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. You got to come back tomorrow because, like she said, we're just getting started. You've just heard about the event. Now you're going to hear, like Paul Harvey said, the rest of the story, and it's going to knock your socks off. Until tomorrow.
Buckle up, baby.
Buckle up, Buttercup. There you go. God bless you all. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.